What is up, everyone? Look who's back with me. We are back for another real review. Uh, and this is more of the traditional ones if you didn't see the Alien Romulus review that happened last week, where Geoff and I have both actually seen the movie. So we'll be able to break this down and talk to you about it. So without further ado, Geoff, how you doing?
I'm doing swell. I'm tired. I have a little bit of a cough, and I want to go to bed. So, but that's me any time of day. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I got to see this film we're going to talk about today. Been a good week prepping for a a party that will have happened in the past by the time that this came out. So, if we're watching, happy birthday to the co-founder Nick. His birthday was yesterday, so I threw a little surprise party for him with our friends for on Saturday. So, we're covering from that a little bit by the time this will air. But no,
Relevant information for a review. I'm glad that you shared it.
I'm just saying happy birthday, Nick. He's the co-founder of the channel. You gotta
I say relevant, and I just talked about. I got a little bit of a cough.
Yes, exactly. So, without further ado, let's just get this going. We're here to talk to you about Blink Twice, the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz. Yes, Zoe Kravitz.
Catwoman?
Catwoman. And one of the wives from Mad Max, and so many other great films and roles over the years. Gotta love it. Loved her in High Fidelity. That show.
She was one of the Big Little Lies, right?
Yep.
I think she was the little lie.
Yes, she was the second wife of one.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was making a joke because she's short, so I said little lie.
But hey, it was.
That's for horses.
Yes, but that show's getting another season apparently. So hey, anyways, let's talk about Blink Twice because this movie is honestly to me a surprise because this is one of those movies where I watched the trailer and I didn't know what to necessarily think. I saw the trailer once, literally one time, and it was before my screening of A Quiet Place, day one. So everyone knows me when it comes to horror and thriller movies. I'm very tepid. I'm picky and choosy. Like for example, I'm not watching Longlegs until I can watch that at home. I know I'm a little bitch, but
you are.
This was one I felt like I needed to see in theaters, and I'm so glad that I did because this was a really fun and interesting theater experience.
Yes, fun is definitely a word I would use to describe chunks of this movie.
Yes,
and I don't mean that in a negative way of like, oh well, some of it's fun, some of it's really bad. I mean fun in that like there are directions that this movie goes that are like, oh, well, that's really I'm really interested and I'm continuing to watch. I don't know if the word I'd use to describe what I'm watching is fun. I think that Zoe Kravitz is incredibly talented based off of this directorial debut. The first half of the film in particular is a lot of fun while you're trying to figure out what's going on a bit. It feels like there's just so much stuff because the characters are having fun. The setup is real simple. We have these two friends who happen to weasel their way, like work their way into getting invited to this mega billionaire's private island. Mega billionaire played by Channing Tatum. And him and all of his rich friends and these two people that don't have a lot of money all go there, and they're just having the time of their life. They are, in fact, having a good time.
Yes.
It's a question that's asked repeatedly throughout the movie. And the more fun you have watching the movie, the more you realize
something's off.
Something's off. It's one of those movies where things aren't as they seem, and the tension starts to build, and there's a sense of dread that's just kind of there, and you get pieces of information along the way, and you're just sort of captivated by the cast, who are just like unbelievable. Zoe Kravitz has worked in the industry in various ways, and her just she's been around it for her whole life, and so of course she was able to just get this all-star cast together. We have
Simon Rex.
Yeah, we got Simon Rex. Who, by the way, love seeing Simon Rex in movies again after Red Rocket. I'm glad that he's starting to pop up in more stuff. Christian Slater. He's a big scene. It's what I don't want to say is, this is a movie where it is written by, it's co-written by a woman. It is directed by a woman. And it's the main character is a woman, and it very much is a woman's story. So I know that what we felt watching the movie might be a little different than what some other people might feel from just our basic backgrounds.
Precisely.
Naomi Ackie is great in this movie. I want to make sure that I say that right now before I say. A lot of the men steal scenes that they're in.
Let me here. The easiest way to put it is the Naomi Ackie we get was the Naomi Ackie they teased how when Rise of Skywalker came out. They teased how talented she was.
They teased how charming and charismatic she was in that.
They teased
when giving her nothing.
Yeah, but
we saw her talent in I Want to Dance with Somebody.
But this is the film where I think she's finally arrived, and I was so happy to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, somebody else who arrived a while ago in a really bad movie that has quickly become one of the cementing her place as a face you remember in Hollywood, Adria Arjona, who has been in Andor. She was in The Killer, or The Hitman. Excuse me.
She was in Six Underground and Morbius. That's what you're talking about. Yes. Yeah, those are bad movies for sure. But you know what? 2024, great year for her.
2022 through 2024 so far.
I'm just talking about movie because she has because she also had Hitman this year.
Yep. Last year she had 2022 she had Andor, but
she also had Morbius in 2022, so I'm just ignoring that year. And also, I haven't watched Andor, so I can't speak to it.
Fair enough. But she is quickly becoming someone to watch out for in Hollywood. Especially, it seems like she's picking her projects with intent. I love that. But I'm going to be honest. Someone who impressed me in doing a role that you never would have expected out of this man, and Channing Tatum was fucking chilling.
Channing Tatum is so. It's what this movie shows is, it reiterates some points that we already know. The mega rich, you can't trust the mega rich.
Can't trust the mega rich.
You can't trust men.
Can't trust men coming from two men.
Definitely can't trust mega rich men.
You're not wrong.
It's pretty clear in the setup just from the trailer that there's stuff that's off. It's very clear that us saying he's chilling and whatnot. Watching the trailer, I know I was more enamored with the trailer than you were, and it's just a piece of marketing. But just from the trailer alone, I got, Channing Tatum, there's something off about him. And that there's something off about everyone, really. And sure enough, there may be. But maybe not the people you expect. It's very interesting how it all plays out. I also want to just shout out. I mentioned it was really fun seeing Simon Rex. I love Simon. Simon Rex is just he's the friend of the rich guy who's just there all the time, and his thing is just he's such a foodie. He's a foodie, and did he actually cook anything in the movie?
He was prepping the food, he was the actual cook, because remember he had a special knife that Slater got him. Slater being Channing Tatum's character.
Yes.
And he's like, I
Not
made
Christian
this.
Slater, also in the cast.
Right. He's like, I made this, and it's this and this. So
Got it. Okay.
I don't think we actually
when I watched
saw.
the movie,
we did see him like cut up the fish at one point, but we never.
Yeah,
actually
when I watched the movie, I must have blinked at that moment because I thought it was, oh yeah, he got everything. He sourced and paid for it, but then he let other people do the work, and then he got to introduce it, which is a very rich person thing to do.
It could be.
So he might just be doing that. Like, I know that I've gotten a really nice chef's knife before, like a Japanese one, and it's gorgeous and it's so sharp. And I've used it. I haven't used it in a while. But I love knowing that I have a knife like that. So I got that sort of
He remember he like was cutting up whatever tuna that.
That's
was
right. Yeah.
So
and then we got like Christian Slater, who is Channing Tatum's right-hand man. This guy Vic, and he's got that Slater charisma that you know of.
Yeah.
But there's it's also, he's Mr. Robot too. There's something else going on with him also. It's just Slater is just a guy who it's always fun to see him, I think.
Yeah.
And
nice little surprise, Haley Joel Osment.
Haley Joel Osment is having a blast in this movie. He's having so much fun, and I'm not just talking about his character having a lot of fun. I mean, like, he's having a lot of fun just playing a guy that you wouldn't normally associate him with.
Yes.
I never finished the series, I believe, but I watched Future Man, which went to Hulu. Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg were behind that series.
Never watched it.
Starring Josh Hutcherson, and Haley Joel Osment showed up a bunch, especially I believe in like season 2. And it's just like you have to remind yourself, like, he's an adult now. All right, this is not the I See Dead people. This guy, he's playing stuff that's much darker now, but much more interesting.
I mean, honestly, when I think of Haley Joel Osment nowadays, I think of Tusk. That's where my mind's at.
I've watched that movie once.
I'm just being honest, but anyways, let's.
Kyle MacLachlan pops up in a small role, and he's fun just because like he always has that like weird role. Kyle MacLachlan's great as like even in bit roles where it's like he's always able to sell that there's something else about him that he doesn't want to quite share. And then Gina Davis also shows up too. She's like
first time I've seen her in years, man.
She hasn't been doing like a ton of stuff lately, at least in like big titles. She's been relaxing a lot, I guess, and just kind of like kicking back, doing charity work or activism. And she comes here and she's great in there's ways that I want to describe some of these characters, but I feel like I can't without spoiling
and that's why we're focusing so much on the performance.
Just talking about the performances. But yeah, I think that Naomi's Akkie's great. Aaliyah Shawkat also love her. She's always so fun and charming.
Quite enough of her, but I absolutely did love her.
Yeah, I think that she's great. But this is like the Naomi Ackie and Channing Tatum show.
Yes.
There's a monologue that Channing Tatum performs in this movie. That is, I think,
the one towards the end.
Yes, there's a monologue that he gives where I'm like, at first I'm like, is he selling this well? Is he selling this well? And then I realize what they're doing, and I'm like, oh my God, he's great. Like, when he burst on the scene, everyone, including myself, thought that he was like Hayden Christensen 2.0 with the wooden performance stuff. And when I say Hayden Christensen, I mean specifically like
Star Wars
Attack of the Clones type stuff. But then we saw what he could do in the Jump Street films, being so funny. But it was really like, as far as full-on performance, it was Foxcatcher that really caught everyone's eye. And here, I think he's done some of the best work he's done.
In the last, for example, Dog wasn't the best movie. He was.
It's just a really nice movie.
Yes, it is. It is it's not the best movie, but it's still a really nice movie, and he's fantastic in it. Fly Me to the Moon.
I haven't caught it yet.
Okay, it hits digital streaming last week.
It's on streaming now.
Yeah. Okay, movie. He's really good in it. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Haven't seen that, but it's fine because everyone, including the filmmakers and actors, shared all the
He's
leaked videos
fantastic
online.
in that.
I'm sure. I
his
heard the
bit
voice
role.
and I was like, well, and then I shut it off because I thought this feels weird to hear out of context.
But a lot of complaints are involving that or his accent. I'm like, have you been to New Orleans? Have you heard someone who's Cajun actually speak? This is spot on. He's from the area.
Yeah, he's very funny in the Lost City. Like he's got the chops. He's got the chops. But, I love him voicing George Washington in America the Motion Picture.
Yeah. But point is, this is a performance from him that we've had yet to see. Like we've seen him be the pretty boy. We've seen him be the serious guy, but we've never seen sinister.
And it's what makes it work so well is we're talking about rich, powerful men that you can't trust. Like it's that level of sinister feeling, that sense of dread you get from him while he's being the most charming, down to earth, normal dude possible, except for a couple of weird things. And then those weird things just keep sticking with you more and more and more. And yeah, he's great. Naomi Ackie and him are what really I'd say they hold this movie together, but it's them, but also Zoe Kravitz. It's Zoe Kravitz. One thing that I think that directors don't get enough credit for when they're directing, when people are talking about film's direction, is how they actually work with their cast. Everyone's thinking the scope of it all. People talk about Villeneuve and his scope, how big he makes his movie, how grand he makes these things. I've been watching a lot of John Woo recently and watching a lot of his older films that I haven't seen before. The Killer, A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2. And then I went into Face Off and whatnot as well. And he has this operatic style that everyone thinks about, but that everyone likes to associate with him. We know all of these things that make the tone hit, the scope of it, but we never actually really focus on just how well a director can handle their actors, because I think that Zoe Kravitz is able to juggle this cast of a bunch of people that all seem so very different, and yet also, once again, just they're all able to somehow be like, well, we're going to have a lot of fun for an untold amount of time and maybe not so much fun. And it's just a testament to her. And I think that this is her first film. This is her debut. So I'm really interested to see what kind of filmmaker she becomes if she chooses to continue this route.
So I know we talked about this before and varying degrees of agreeing on this, but in recent years, this kind of directorial debut, though, especially considering what kind of film it is, I personally feel like the best comparison would be Jordan Peele with Get Out. Just because the subject matter of the film, which that's all I'll really say on that, just stylistically, and the fact that she wrote this film and it delivers what it does, just absolutely.
Now, this doesn't. Saying this is not a spoiler. The way I'm trying to phrase it, it's not like this is what the genre is or something. I'm just mentioning this because we briefly mentioned it right before recording this. I know there was a lot of jokes going on about when Don't Worry Darling came out. It's like, this is Get Out for women. Like, no. This movie feels much more apt as a Get Out for women type.
This is Get Out for women. Don't Worry Darling has nothing on this film.
Now, even saying that though makes it. I think that just saying it's Get Out for women is also reductive is a little reductive, but it's one of those things where when a film has multiple different genres, multiple different tones, a whole lot of different ideas, and
you're trying not to spoil them.
Yeah, a whole lot of different ideas and passion and joy and rage that comes from what this movie is trying to say. Get Out is just like it's sort of like an easy comp, even though it's not Get Out. I think that one thing that this movie doesn't quite do as well as Get Out, I mentioned to you before we recorded this, was I do think that the screenplay could have been tighter. I think that this is much more of a testament to Kravitz as a director than as a screenwriter. I think that there's some stuff with these ideas that could have been a little more finely tuned. I don't necessarily agree when people say for films now, like, oh, well, it's not subtle anymore. Like, oh, it could have been more subtle. It's so unsubtle with this. We live in an unsubtle world now. And this movie deals with a lot of very unsubtle topics, where the world wants you to believe that, oh, it's these are subtle things that we don't need to think about. But no, like, I'm fine with it wanting to be as blatant about some of the things that it wants to say and do. I just wish that the screenplay itself worked a little better in fits and starts. Overall, I still really enjoy it. It's just there are things in the writing that could have improved everything as a result.
Yeah, I felt it worked a little bit better than you, because there's just tiny little lines that some may consider throwaway lines that you need to pick up on, it seemed like, to see where certain things were coming from. But overall, I agree. This film is more a testament to her as a director. But if she keeps directing and writing like this, I do think it's possible. We talk about her in the same vein that we talk about a Jordan Peele or some of these other directors who have just quickly made a name for themselves, being able to balance drama, horror, thrillers, just all of that. And I'm very interested to see where she can go going forward.
I also think that it's important to note, and maybe it would have been one to say like much at like the top of the video, this is the kind of movie that for some people it would be better to come with like a trigger warning on it with some of the subject matter or imagery that happens to appear in the film. I think that for some people it might ring a little painful for them. It might not hit them in a way where they're able to necessarily enjoy the movie as much, and that's totally fine. Everyone is able to feel exactly how they're supposed to feel. Like this is a work of art, and everyone's feelings towards it are justified. I think that it's good to note that there are some things in here that are very much so like triggering for some. I also think that there was something else here that I wanted to say, and I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, and I forgot.
No, you're good.
So, but otherwise, I mean, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I think that it's a ton of fun until it's not so fun, but then it might actually be a little more fun after that. I think that there's so many interesting ideas that it's trying to work with and themes that it's trying to tackle, and I admire the chutzpah of where this goes.
Especially from a first-time director.
It reminds me, the movie itself, it reminds me of I anticipated where a lot of things were going to end up going.
Yes.
Where I'm watching and I'm like, all right, there's stuff that's happening here. This is happening. These people are going to be like this. These people are going to be like this. And sure enough, I was right about pretty much all those things in my head. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad in the screenplay, because I was able to figure it out and then it ended up working out that way. Cool. But the way in which some of those things or how they actually shake out aren't how I actually necessarily expected them. It's the same thing with I mentioned this to you when we did our Kinds of Kindness review. Probably still my favorite joke in a movie this year was this joke that occurred in the second anthology
still my
story,
favorite one of the year too,
where when they set up the joke, I thought, oh, I know exactly where the joke is going. And then it goes and it does exactly what I thought. But then it twists it in a way where where it shocks me and makes me and kind of like throws me off a little bit, because it was what I was expecting, but it wasn't. That's this. I expected a lot of these things, but I didn't expect it in the way some of the things actually went about. So there was a lot to like there. Some of it could have been a little bit better, but overall, I really did enjoy it.
Yeah. So, Geoff, your final grade for this film?
I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think that it's the kind of movie that when I rewatch it, I may like it more. That's what I'm hoping for. It feels like I will like it more. I don't think it's the kind of movie with twists and turns that I'll dislike. It gets very dark and goes into some very twisted, uncomfortable places. So it is funny to say, oh, it's very dark, it's very twisted, very uncomfortable, but also very fun.
I know. You feel so wrong saying it, but at the same time, and for that same reason, our grades are similar, but I gave it a little bit of a higher grade. I gave it a 4 out of 5 for those same reasons. Just it's very dark, it's very fun. The performances are bar none what carry this, and that is really something considering the direction and that this film has from a first-time director. It's mind-boggling, and I loved it. It's an experience, it's a journey, and you should see it in cinemas. But with that, folks, thank you for tuning in. But also remember to check out our sister channel, Watt Gaming, where our streams from Twitch go to live after they have aired, and that is just twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, like in that corner up top above Jess. So twitch.tv/WattRealEnt, go check that out. But yeah, just remember to like, subscribe, tell us what you thought. If you're going to go see this, if you have seen it, let us know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow, and be on the lookout for 2 unboxing videos this week. That's right, 2 unboxing videos. I know in the channel update from last year, I said we're going to work on getting more of those, and finally doing that, because I'm a little selfish boy who always gets carried away and getting.
Yeah, you gotta unbox your like next time I get an Amazon package, I'll open it up for you, man. I'll get on camera and show you the Pepto that I ordered and the cat food.
No, this is not that kind of
stuff. No, I know.
I
had another package I got today, and this was in it. The SummerSlam shirt. Because the lines at the actual SummerSlam event were too long, so I decided to order it online.
But with that, folks, signing off. I'm Matt. That's Geoff. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.